everybody. Steve Ritter back at the kitchen. Look at this. Back in. Gonna fire up a smoothie today and talk with you a little bit about some parenting tips. And I guess this is probably mostly for my own children. They probably remember well, but these are all the things that we try to do, bringing them up, raising them. Some pointers some folks have asked. So just some suggestions, but mostly I guess it's for my kids. But I'm going to make myself a little smoothie while we talk. I put some greens in here. I think that it's spinach. It looks like spinach. See the little leaves here. So I think that's what it is. It wasn't marked in the grocery store, a little grocery store next door. Wasn't marked. Looks like spinach. It's got a little bit of a zip to it, like rocket. I think anyway, it's good. I'm not feeling any burning sensations or allergies or anything, so I think it's going to be all right. I've got some raspberries as well. Those are going to go in. I'm going to put in a big old, I don't have a spoon, a big fork full of peanut butter. For protein, can't let that go to waste. And then also for protein, I've got this fresh Laban from cow's milk, which is basically cultured milk. So it's kind of smells like buttermilk. But it's a little creamier, so a little bit more. Anyway, excited to be back in place with the kitchenette here and get back cooking a little bit. So gonna go ahead and fire this up. So here we go, and key the music. Looks mixed. All right. This looks pretty tasty. Well, it doesn't look tasty, but I'm sure it'll taste tasty. Yeah, that's good. All right. Like I said, I'm excited about getting back in the kitchen, firing up some stuff. Come on along, let's go chat. So, here's the place. You kind of see this is like a one-bedroom apartment. Now, the view I had the previous time I was here was looking back over a parking lot, and you can see the mosque in the distance. Well, now this is my view. It's like next door. So this is kind of out the window. Now look up in the sky there. It's pretty crazy. Those are like rain clouds, which is just nutty. Here, it is never that since I've been here. That many clouds, crazy. So I got myself a laundry now, so I don't have to go to I got myself a wash machine, so I don't have to go to the laundromat so much. I'll grab my notebook here. I wrote some notes down. So I hope everybody's doing all right. I'll just sit this way so the lighting's a little better. So I want to talk a little bit about, and again, this is some things for my own kids, just kind of putting some stuff down, talking about some thoughts on parenting and how Arlene and I try to raise our kids, and with some pointers. And so I put a few down, and I've gotten some feedback from the kids as they've gotten older on things they appreciated or things they enjoyed, or things that they they look back now and with the wisdom of years and can look back and say, Okay, yeah, that was pretty good. So, um, I wanted to share a few of those things, and I'm sure Bella and kids are watching. Going, all right, what's he going to say? But I think it's three big things, and obviously there's plenty more. But these are things that these are three things that really leapt to mind. So, first is be engaged. Um, I, I I I got it's one of my pet peeves is to see parents with younger kids, and all the kids want to do is just be around the parents and just play with the parents or play, or it's like the parents are the center of their world, and all they want to do is just and be acknowledged by their parents, and to see parents on their phones and stuff, it just drives me insane. Especially now with my kids being up and out and gone, and you miss that. You miss that when they're little, and you miss that just this little person just thinks you're the greatest thing in the world. Now, fortunately, my kids still think I'm the greatest thing in the world. Well, maybe not. But be engaged. I mean, be present with them. Be present in their world, and when they're talking to you, listen to them. Have a conversation and make eye contact and talk. And I got it that the kids can be exhausting sometimes, and it's just nonstop. But vector them towards something and give them something to do. And like, well, why don't you write down? Why don't you color this real quick, and then and give yourself a break or something. But don't just ignore them. And my I read something once, or my kids told me or something. This one guy was talking about, or this one person was talking about her dad, and said that it was like every time you came in the room, he acknowledged them, or every time they came in the room, it was like you became the most important person in the world. They like paid attention to you, and just how much of an impact that made for that person, and just realizing that their parents thought that much of them. So they're not just what's the old joke that the dad's just mildly aware that there's little people that live in the home. I mean, I've just always wanted to we'd go out to dinner, or we go out to movies, obviously you're going to pay attention to the movie, but dinners even, phones and all that stuff, little TV games and all that stuff got put away, and it was family time. We'd sit and talk, and we'd be there with each other. Yeah, so anyway, be engaged. Uh, you know, uh, Schoolwork, um, you know, that's another thing too. Is and being engaged with them, and making and they should feel that you care about them. And Arlene was always very good about checking their schoolwork, and they come home from school and they'd have to. She was, very thankful that she was able to be a stay-at-home mom. But the kids would come home from school, and she'd have them take all their stuff out, and she'd check their work and look at the homework stuff, papers they brought home. She was checking all that all the time, and was making sure that they were doing their homework and doing their work, and staying engaged. And um, and they knew that we cared about how they did in school, and they all did very well in school, always. So um, you realize that that's one thing. Kids, they don't want to do, a lot of times they don't want to do the things that they should do, right? They don't want to do homework, they don't want to eat vegetables, they don't want to do all that. And well, of course not. Of course not. I mean, who wouldn't want to eat candy and stay up all night playing games and everything else? Who wouldn't want to do that? I mean, that's like a lesson for life, isn't it? I mean, always to get the fun, easy stuff all the time. Who wants to work? If and it's our job as parents to teach our children that there is a time and a place for everything, and and right now it's time for work. So anyway, being engaged and making sure they understand that you care and you love them. So um, another one, and this is my personal favorite. So ABT, always be teaching. So I always used to tell the kids that always be learning. When you stop learning, you start dying, right? So I would always, as a parent, I would always we'd go for walks or we'd be doing something or watching something on TV or something, and I'd be showing them something, or hey, look at this, or hey, look at this little anthill here, or look at what they're doing here. Or we'd always pointing that stuff out, of walking on the beach and finding things and museums and all of that, and I would stop, and the kids kind of chuckle about it, but you know, uh, Bella, they tell me, when I'm not around, they miss me and miss going to museums with me and how I read everything, and I could just get lost in it, and then I would go, hey, look at this, or hey, watch this, and I just I think the kids always appreciated that, and they told me that they did. Um, Always teaching, always showing, because again, the kids see that you're taking the time and that you care enough that you're gonna spend the time and teach them. So that's another one. And then the last thing I kind of want to go over to, and this, it seems simple, but it's really not, is just dedicating and making the time to read to them. And from the time our kids were just little things, we've still got baby books everywhere and little story books, and we read stories, and they loved it. I mean, they loved it. And sometimes it was a chance to be able to stay up longer. you know so we go, okay, go, you go, pick a story. Well, I want 3 stories, or oh, well, okay, but not long ones. Well, and they come in with a big thick, no, we're not going to read that long one. But reading to them, reading stories to them from the time they were little, and I loved it. I mean, we read stories, and then we say our prayers, and then they go to sleep. But that love for reading, Arlene and I really fostered that. And when they got older, we started, we committed and made a point to get some, somewhat of a little library, and classic books and stuff. And we would encourage the kids to. We'd say, look, we'll pay you, to read these. And of course they like, oh great, and all you got to do is just tell us about the book and what it was about. So, and we would do that. So we'd give them like $5 to read a book, and then it got to the point where it was like a penny a page, and because they were voracious readers. All the kids, just voracious, always reading and learning, and then we encouraged them, their interest in the things they enjoyed reading, and we encouraged that. So, just like we did, getting them to try new foods, I'd pay them $1 to get them to try something. I said, you don't have to like it, just try it. And most times they liked it, because I wouldn't have them try anything that I wouldn't eat, right? So, but that's telling them stories, encouraging them to read, and this is one little thing that kids love, and this is a pointer here. So, when the kids were little and they were old enough to understand stories, I would make up stories, and I would tell them stories, and whenever all the kids got together, our 4 plus my sister-in-law and brother-in-law and their 4 kids, and we'd all get together for family, whatever, summers or holidays or whatever. Anytime we got together and I was there, they would say, hey, Uncle Steve, tell a story. So I would make up the story, and instead of just like one story, it would be like a serial story of like a little bit every night, and then include them in it. So make them a part of the story. And there was one summer that I came up with a story, and actually I was deployed. I was in Qatar for the summer. I left in May and came back in September something, and so that whole summer they were back seeing each other, spending the summer together, and I would email them stories, and they were in it, and it was some Star Wars Jedi Kids or something like that. I think it was. That's what it was, and I got to where I looked forward to it. I'd come in from after work and I'd be in my room and I'd type it all out and I'd email it to Arlene, and Arlene would print it out and read it to him that night. And there was one time as we're going through the story where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try something here. So I had them like slowly something happened, and each of them were like getting killed off or something, in the story. In this one particular episode, and all this hole in the spaceship, and one of them got sucked out. And I told Arlene when I emailed, I said, I want you to pay attention to them when you read this, and tell me how they react and everything else. So remember all that, because it's got all kind of little twists in the story. So she told me afterwards, she said, and it was basically as each kid was getting sucked out into space and dying, they're like, what? It's like, they're like going, what? No. I got all the way through. And then it was like, it was all a dream. And one of the kids like, oh, I woke up, oh, I just had a terrible dream. And all the kids there, of course, they're still alive and the story's still going on. And they still laugh about that. I mean, they're in their mid-20s now, and they still remember that summer and sending that story out, and they all loved it. And they're always, every one of them are trying to encourage me to, hey, you ought to write, kids stories or whatever. But the sillier the story, the more it relates to them and is about them, the better. That's they just appreciate it, and they'd be glad for it. So just three little pointers. I'll think of some more. I mean, there are plenty more, but just those are three big things that I could give pointers and pass that on to my own kids for their children and what they do. Of course, as a grandparent, I plan to do that, of course. So. But anyway, I hope this is healthy. I hardly got into my smoothie here. So more stuff's coming. I'm going to fire up a quiche today, so be looking for that video. But this is Colonel signing off. We'll see you next time.